The storm came without warning. White sheets of snow swallowing the small mountain town of Grayson Ridge. By midnight, the roads were gone, the power lines dead, and the radio hissed with static. Officer Cole Mercer gripped the steering wheel, his breath fogging the windshield as his K9 Shadow growled low beside him. Then came the call. A faint, distorted distress signal picked up near the old Miller Ridge Trail, a place long abandoned since the fire. Cole almost ignored it, but Shadow began to whine, scratching at the door. Somewhere out there, beneath the blizzard, someone was waiting or hiding. Wind clawed at the cruiser as Cole eased it down the narrow road that led to Miller Ridge. Headlights slashed through walls of white, snow swirling like ash in the high beams. The world was silent but for the engine and Shadow's restless breathing in the back. Cole's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "Dispatch, I've got visibility under 10 feet, he said into the mic. Static, then a faint voice. "Copy that. Proceed with caution." He almost laughed. Caution. Out here, that word meant nothing. Shadow barked once, sharp and urgent. His ears stood high, nose pressed to the cracked glass of the window. Cole frowned. "You smell something, boy." Shadow barked again, then whined. He could feel it. Something alive out there under all that snow. Cole slowed to a crawl, headlights glancing off broken pine branches, and the sagging remains of an old fence. A flicker of movement. Just for a second, he killed the engine. Silence dropped like a weight. The air outside was freezing enough to sting his lungs when he stepped out. His boots sank ankle-deep into powder. Shadow leapt out after him, tail stiff, body low to the ground. "Shadow, search," Cole ordered. The dog took off, nose to the snow, weaving intense zigzags toward the tree line. Cole followed, flashlight beam jittering with his breath. The forest loomed black and endless, every branch heavy with frost, every shadow shifting with the wind. Then Shadow barked, frantic, echoing, desperate. Cole ran. Through the snow he saw a shape, half buried, twisted awkwardly against a stump. He dropped to his knees beside it, brushing away ice and frost. A man, face pale blue, beard caked with ice. His hands were clenched tight around something metallic. "Hey!" Cole shouted, slapping the man's face gently. "Hey! Can you hear me?" The man stirred, barely. A breath escaped his lips, faint as fog. Cole pulled off his glove and pressed 2 fingers to the man's neck. Weak pulse. Still alive. "Hang on, I got you," Cole muttered. "Shadow, stay close." The man's eyes fluttered open, blind, pupils cloudy and unmoving. He looked past Cole. Through him, Cole froze. "Jesus, you're blind." The man's lips trembled. Don't let them see me." "Who?" Cole leaned closer. "Who's out here?" The man coughed, a dry, cracking sound. "They buried me alive, said I knew too much." Cole's heart pounded. "You're going to be fine, all right? We'll get you out." The man shook his head weakly. "You don't understand." His hand moved, trembling, offering something, an old, rusted dog tag. Cole took it and turned it under the flashlight. The name punched through him, David R. Kane. He knew that name. Everyone in Grayson Ridge did. Sergeant David Kane, honored war veteran, missing for over 6 months. Cole looked back at the man. His face was barely recognizable, beard grown wild, eyes opaque with blindness. But it was him. "Jesus Christ," Cole whispered. "You're supposed to be dead." Kane's lips curved into something like a smile, broken, hollow. That's what they wanted. Lightning flashed in the distance. The thunder that followed rolled through the valley like a growl. Cole grabbed the radio from his belt. "Dispatch! I've got a positive ID on the missing vet, David Kane. He's alive but critical. Requesting immediate medevac. Coordinates." Static. Nothing. The line was dead. Cole cursed under his breath and looked at Shadow. The dog was pacing in tight circles, nose pointed toward the woods, ears flat, whining. "What is it, boy?" Then he heard it too, a crunch, footsteps, slow, deliberate. He swung the flashlight. Just snow, just trees. Another step, closer. Cole's hand went to his holster. "Who's there?" No answer. The wind rose, howling through the trees, but underneath it, a faint metallic click. Shadow growled. Cole crouched over Kane, lowering his voice. We need to move. But Kane's hand shot out, gripping his wrist with surprising strength. No, you can't take me back there. Back where? Kane's sightless eyes turned toward the treeline. The compound. What compound? Before Cole could ask again, Shadow lunged forward, barking violently. Cole spun, flashlight beams slicing across a blur of movement. Someone running between the trees, dressed in white snow gear. Police! Stop! Cole took off after them, boots pounding through drifts, breath tearing in his chest. Shadow sprinted beside him, barking in the storm's roar. The figure darted through the trees, quick and silent, disappearing behind a fallen log. Cole raised his gun. Freeze! No response. He moved closer, pulse hammering. The snow muffled every sound except the thudding of his heart. He rounded the log, empty, just footprints leading deeper into the dark. Then, crack, a shot rang out. Cole hit the ground, rolling behind a log as snow exploded beside him. Shadow, he yelled. The K-9 was nowhere in sight. Another shot tore through the air. Cole fired back blindly into the trees, sparks lighting the storm. He crawled through the snow, breath ragged. Then silence again. Wind. Trees. His own pulse. He peeked over the log. Nothing. Whoever it was, they were gone. Cole pushed himself up, scanning the ground. The footprints split in two directions, one heading down the slope, one circling back toward where Kane lay. Panic clawed through him. He ran. When he reached the clearing again, the flashlight beam flickered over the snow, and his blood ran cold. Kane was gone. Only the shape of his body remained, pressed into the white. And beside it, Shadow sat, whining softly. Between his paws lay something small and metallic. Cole knelt. It was another dog tag. Newer. Cleaner. He turned it over. See Mercer. His own name. He stared at it, confusion twisting to dread. Where the hell did you get this? He whispered. Shadow only whined, tail low, eyes locked on the woods. Cole looked toward the dark forest, wind shrieking through pines. Someone had been out here. Someone who knew him. And somewhere, out there in the storm, a blind veteran was whispering truths no one wanted found. If stories like this pull you in, the kind that leave you thinking long after they end, stay around for the next chapter. Sometimes the smallest detail can change everything. The storm didn't ease. It thickened, roaring like a living thing. Cole could barely see his own footprints anymore, the wind shredding them as fast as he made them. Shadow stayed close, his black fur powdered white, his breath steaming in the cold. Cole gripped the strange dog tag in his glove. The letters see Mercer etched deep like a warning. He'd never seen it before, but it was his name, his number, his past. Come on, boy, he muttered, voice tight. We're going back to the cruiser. Shadow barked once, low and hesitant. Cole turned his flashlight toward the spot where Kane had been. Only disturbed snow, drag marks leading into the trees. Whoever had taken him hadn't been gone long. Cole drew his gun again, his pulse thudding against his ribs. Dispatch. This is Officer Mercer. Do you copy? Nothing. Just a shriek of wind. He tried the radio again. Static. Lines dead for a reason. A voice in his head whispered. He pushed through the snow, following the drag trail as it curved deeper into the forest. His flashlight beam jittered across broken branches, drops of fresh blood, an occasional flash of silver, bullet casings, half buried in white. Whoever had fired at him hadn't been hunting deer. Shadow suddenly froze, hackles raised, tail straight. He let out a deep growl. Cole stopped. Ahead, the trees opened into a small clearing, a burned-out cabin. Its roof half collapsed, smoke rising faintly from a chimney. Light flickered through the broken boards. Someone's inside, Cole whispered. He crouched low, moving closer. Each step creaked against the frozen ground. Shadow followed silently, muscles taut. When they reached the window, Cole peered in through a jagged hole in the wall. Inside, two figures. One was Kane, wrapped in an old blanket, shivering near the fire. The other, a tall man in snow gear, pacing back and forth. His rifle leaned against the wall. His voice was low but sharp, cutting through the hiss of the fire. Should have stayed dead, Kane. You weren't supposed to crawl out. Kane's voice rasped weakly. You think burying me changes what you did? What they did? The man laughed under his breath. You don't get it. There is no they. It's just us. You talk, I go down. I go down, they burn you for it. Everyone loses. Kane coughed violently, blood speckling the blanket. You don't understand. Oh, I understand fine. The man bent closer. You got blind lucky. Literally. Should have left you under that snow. Cole's blood turned to ice. He raised the radio again, whispering, Suspect located. Hostage alive. Possible armed. Static. Then crunch. His boots shifted on ice. The man inside stopped talking. Cole froze. Breath caught in his throat. The man turned toward the window. Who's there? Cole ducked, pressing himself against the wall. He gestured a shadow stay. The cabin door creaked open. A tall figure stepped out, rifle in hand, scanning the trees with a flashlight. The beam cut across Cole's jacket, lighting up the police badge for a fraction of a second. The man cursed and raised a rifle. Cole fired first. The gunshot echoed through the valley like thunder. The man stumbled back, dropping his flashlight, then bolted into the trees. Shadow, go! The K-9 shot forward, barking furiously, snow flying behind him. Cole followed, heart hammering, cold air burning his lungs. The forest erupted in chaos. Gunfire, branches snapping, the flash of shadows were weaving through the dark. Then a scream. Cole ran toward it, gun raised. He found the man on the ground, Shadow's jaws locked around his arm. The rifle lay in the snow. Shadow, release. Cole shouted. The dog obeyed instantly, stepping back, growling low. Cole kicked the rifle away and grabbed the man's collar, yanking off his snow hood. His breath caught. It was Ryan Keller, his old partner. Ryan. Cole whispered. What the hell are you doing out here? Keller's eyes were wild, pupils blown. You shouldn't have come, Cole. None of this was meant for you. Meant for me? Cole hissed. You shot at me. You buried a veteran alive. Keller shook his head violently. You don't know what's happening. You never did. They sent you because they knew you'd follow the call. Cole pressed the barrel of his gun to Keller's chest. Who sent me? You think this is about Kane? Keller rasped. It's about you. Cole hesitated. What? Keller's mouth twisted into a bitter smile. You really don't remember, do you? Remember what? Before Keller could answer, a shot cracked through the night. His body jerked once, then went still. Cole dropped beside him, scanning the trees. No one. Just a faint glow of the cabin fire flickering through the storm. The bullet had come from behind him. A sniper. Silenced. Shadow barked furiously, spinning toward the ridge above. Cole followed his gaze, just in time to see a figure vanish behind the trees. He dragged Keller's body out of the open, searching his jacket. Inside the pocket, an old, sealed envelope marked with faded government insignia. He tore it open. Inside were two photos. One of Kane, younger, in uniform, and one of himself, Cole Mercer, standing beside Kane. He froze. He had never met David Kane. Not once. But there they were, shoulder to shoulder, both wearing the same tactical insignia. Unit 13B. Classified. His throat went dry. He turned the photo over. A single line was written in ink. You were there when it happened. So was he. Jesus, Cole whispered. He looked back toward the cabin. Kane was still inside. Still alive. He holstered his gun and started back, Shadow close to the side. When he stepped through the door, the veteran turned his blind eyes toward him. He's dead, isn't he? Kane murmured. Cole nodded slowly. Yeah. Kane sighed. Then they'll come for you next. Cole sat down across from him, pulling the photo from his pocket. You and I, this picture. When was it taken? Kane's expression flickered. Pain. Guilt. You shouldn't have found that. Answer me. Kane hesitated, then said quietly, Afghanistan. Operation Black Veil. You don't remember because they made sure of it. Cole stared at him. What are you talking about? Kane's voice was a whisper. You were part of it, Mercer. The project. The dogs, the tests, the whole unit. You and Keller both. When the truth leaked, they wiped everyone. Made us ghosts. I got out before they finished. They tried to bury me when I talked. Cole's heart pounded in his ears. That's not possible. I've never been in the military. Kane turned his head toward him. Those blind eyes clouded with something like pity. That's what you were told. For a long moment, Cole couldn't speak. The fire crackled. The storm howled against the walls, and Shadow whined quietly beside him. As if sensing something heavy in the air, Kane reached out a trembling hand, brushing against Cole's sleeve. I remember you, son. You were good, but you followed orders. You didn't ask questions. Cole pulled back, jaw tight. Then tell me what I did. Kane's face twisted. You led the K-9 unit that hunted deserters. Men who wanted out. Dogs trained to kill on command. Shadow, he's one of them. He remembers. Cole looked down at his K-9, whose golden eyes met his own. Something in that gaze, too human, too knowing, made his skin crawl. You're lying, Cole whispered. Kane smiled weakly. Am I? Or did you just forget? Outside, the wind screamed louder, shaking the cabin walls. Cole stood abruptly. We're getting you out of here. You need a hospital. Kane didn't move. You don't get it, do you? There is no out. Not for me. Not for you. Then, thump, something hit the roof. Hard. Shadow barked, ears back. Cole drew his weapon again. Another thump. Then boots. Someone was on the roof. He moved toward the door, but before he could reach it, the world exploded. A blast ripped to the cabin wall, sending wood and glass flying. Cole hit the ground, ears ringing, lungs burning from smoke. Shadow yelped. The fire roared higher, licking up the beams. Kane! Cole coughed, crawling toward the spot where the veteran had been. The blanket was burning. Kane was gone. Shadow whined, pawing at the back door. Open, swinging in the wind. Cole stumbled outside into the snow, coughing hard. The cold slapped his face, clearing his head just enough to see the trail of footprints leading away from flames. He followed, slipping down the slope, gun raised. At the bottom, the prints stopped near a frozen stream. And there, kneeling by the ice, was Kane, barefoot, shaking, his blind eyes reflecting the flashlight beam like dull glass. You shouldn't have come, he whispered, voice breaking. Cole stopped several feet away. You need help. You're freezing to death. Kane shook his head slowly. They'll find me again. They always do. Who? Kane turned toward him, face twisted with grief. You, Cole. You always find me. Cole blinked. What the hell are you talking about? Kane took a step closer, snow crunching under his bare feet. They made you forget. But not me. You were the one who buried me. Cole's breath caught. He took a step back. That's impossible. Kane smiled sadly. Ask your dog. Then, with a sound like glass breaking, the ice beneath Kane cracked, and he vanished into the black water. No! Cole shouted, lunging forward. He dropped to his knees, plunging his arms into the freezing current. Nothing, just shards of ice swirling away into darkness. Shadow barked beside him, frantic, paws scraping at the edge. Cole sank to the snow, chest heaving, the sound of the storm swallowing everything. He looked down at his shaking hands, still clutching the dog tag that bore his name, and for the first time, he didn't know who he was. The storm finally broke by dawn. What was left of the cabin smoldered in the pale morning light, a black skeleton jutting out of white silence. Smoke curled upward, vanishing into bruised sky. Cole stood by the cruiser, numb, wrapped in a blanket the rescue team had given him. They were still combing the woods for Kane's body. So far, nothing. He barely heard the medic talking. Something about mild hypothermia, about needing to rest. He just nodded, eyes on the ridge. Shadow sat beside him, unusually still, gaze locked on the horizon where the stream cut through the forest. Officer Mercer? A voice called. Cole turned. Chief Holbrook trudged through the snow toward him, face lined and pale. He'd been Cole's commanding officer for years, stubborn, honest, the kind of man who didn't believe in ghosts. What the hell happened out there? Holbrook asked, glancing toward the ruins. Cole's throat felt dry. Ambush. Keller was here. He's dead. Caney's gone. Fell through the ice. Holbrook's expression barely changed. And the reports about classified material? Photos. Cole hesitated. It's not what it looks like. The chief looked at him for a long moment. Then tell me what it is. Cole opened his mouth, but nothing came out. What could he say? That a blind veteran had accused him of being part of a secret program he couldn't remember? That his own K-9 might have been part of it too? Instead, he said quietly, I'll file the report once I get back to the station. Holbrook's gaze lingered. Do that. He turned and walked off toward the paramedics. Cole watched him go, then looked down at Shadow. The dog's eyes were still fixed on the ridge, muscles tense beneath his fur. Hey, Cole whispered, crouching beside him. You okay? Shadow looked up at him, whining softly, then stood and started walking, slow, deliberate, back toward the forest. Shadow. Cole called, but the K-9 didn't stop. Something deep in Cole's gut turned cold. He followed. The woods were quieter now. No wind, no gunfire, just the occasional crack of ice melting in the morning sun. Cole followed Shadow along the half-frozen stream, past fallen branches and patches of churned snow. After nearly 20 minutes, the dog stopped at a cluster of rocks. His paw scratched at the snow, revealing something dark beneath. Fabric. Cole knelt, brushing away. A jacket. Old, torn military issue. Beneath it, a patch of ground disturbed recently. The snow uneven, the soil beneath too soft. A shallow grave. He swallowed hard. What did you find, boy? Shadow pawed again, whining. Cole dug with his gloves, the cold biting through the fabric. After a minute, his fingers struck something hard. Metal. He pulled it free, a small lockbox, rusted and dented, stamped with the same faded insignia he'd seen on the envelope last night. Unit 13B. His heart thudded once, hard. He looked around. The forest was silent. Then he opened the box. Inside were three things. A flash drive, a blood-stained report marked Operation Black Veil decommissioned, a folded photo, older, torn at the edges. He unfolded the picture carefully. It showed 6 men in uniform, standing beside a kennel. On the back, written in block letters, Grayson Ridge Facility, 2011 Mercer, Kane, Keller, Holbrook. His breath caught. Holbrook, the chief. He stared at the photo until the edges blurred. His hands began to tremble. The image swam in front of him, Holbrook with a hand on Kane's shoulder, smiling. Cole himself standing beside Shadow, who looked younger, smaller, but unmistakably the same dog. He turned toward Shadow, his voice barely audible. How long have you known me, boy? The dog's tail twitched. Cole reached for the flash drive, gripping it tight. Whatever was on it, he needed to see. Back at the station, the power flickered as the storm faded. Cole shut himself in his office, laptop humming softly. He plugged in the flash drive. A single folder appeared. Truth. Inside, dozens of video files. He clicked the first one. The screen flickered, then came into focus. A concrete room, military lighting. A young officer standing beside a row of cages. Inside them, dogs. German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois. All calm, all alert. A voice behind the camera spoke. Day 43, Neuroresponse Trial, Unit 13B. Subject Handler, Officer Cole Mercer. Cole's stomach turned. The man on the screen was him, 10 years younger. He watched himself give command. The dog obeyed instantly, tail wagging. Then, at another command, its posture changed, aggression triggered. It lunged at a mannequin, teeth bared. Another voice entered the frame. Canes. Sir, it's working, but we're pushing them too far. Neural stress is off the charts. Cole's younger self turned. Orders are orders, Sergeant. We finished the trial. The video ended abruptly. Cole sat frozen. His pulse hammered his ears. He clicked another file. This one showed chaos. A kennel door open. A dog thrashing against its restraints. Someone shouting. Kane again. Shut it down. They're responding to him now. Then gunfire. Screams. The feed cut. The next file was labeled Incident Log, Handler Neutralization. He clicked it. Static. Then a blurred video. Holbrook's voice this time. Mercer showed signs of memory distortion. Recommended for reset protocol before redeployment. Cole's heart stopped. Reset protocol. They hadn't wiped the dog's memories. They'd wiped his. Shadow whimpered beside him, pressing his head against Cole's leg. Cole reached down, hand trembling, stroking the dog's fur. What did they do to us, boy? The door behind him creaked. He turned sharply, hand on his gun. Holbrook stood in the doorway, face unreadable. You found it. Cole rose slowly. You were there. You knew. Holbrook sighed, stepping inside. You weren't supposed to remember, Cole. You were one of the good ones. Loyal. Clean. Clean. Cole snapped. You wiped my memory. Holbrook's jaw tightened. You volunteered. You just don't remember that part. Volunteered for what? Holbrook's voice softened. To make soldiers forget what they did. To make killers useful again. You were the first success. Cole's breath came sharp and uneven. And Kane. He couldn't handle it, Holbrook said. He started leaking files. We tried to contain it. Keller botched the burial. You buried him alive. Holbrook's eyes flickered with something. Guilt, maybe. We didn't mean for it to go that far. Cole laughed bitterly. You think that makes it better? Cole, Holbrook said quietly. No one needs to know. You built a life here. Let it stay buried. Cole looked at the laptop screen, his younger self commanding obedience like a machine, and felt something snap inside him. He drew his gun. You buried people to keep a secret. Holbrook's hand twitched toward his sidearm. Don't. Shadow growled, low and dangerous. For a moment, neither man moved. Snowlight spilled to the blinds, painting stripes across their faces. Then Holbrook said softly, You were my best man, Mercer. Don't make me bury you again. Cole's finger tightened on the trigger. But before he could fire, Shadow lunged, knocking Holbrook's arm aside as the gun went off. The bullet tore through the wall. Cole fired back, once. Holbrook staggered, then collapsed against the desk. Silence filled the room. The laptop screen glowed faintly, playing another video on loop. His own voice, years younger. They said we'd save lives. Cole stared at the dying man on the floor, chest rising shallowly. Was it worth it? He whispered. Holbrook coughed, blood on his lips. It was necessary. Cole knelt beside him. You don't get to decide that anymore. Holbrook's eyes rolled upward, then went still. Outside, the storm had ended completely. Cole stepped out into the cold light, Shadow at his side. The air smelled clean, sharp, almost new. Snow sparkled across the town like nothing bad had ever happened. He looked toward the ridge, where Kane had vanished, and whispered, I remember now. Shadow pressed close to his leg, whining softly. Cole crouched, looking into the dog's amber eyes. You were part of it too, but you didn't choose this. Neither did I. The dog licked his hand. Cole managed a faint smile. Come on, partner. Let's finish this. He walked to the cruiser, tossed a flash drive into the passenger seat, and started the engine. The radio crackled to life. Dispatch. Officer Mercer, report your status. He pressed a button, eyes on the distant ridge. 10 to 98, case closed. But he didn't drive back to the station. He drove toward the mountains, toward the place where the ice had swallowed the truth. 2 days later, hikers found the cruiser abandoned by the frozen stream. The flash drive was gone. Shadow, too. All that remained was a single set of footprints leading out across the snow, stopping halfway, as if the man who made them had simply vanished. And in the silence that followed, the wind carried a faint whisper. You were the one who buried me. If you made it here, thank you for listening all the way through. Stories like this live in the quiet after the storm, where truth, once buried, finally breeds again.